Broker Bulletin acknowledges the traditional custodians of all the lands across the country on which we record our podcast and pays its respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Welcome to the Broker Bulletin podcast, where better begins. Join us as we chat with brokers about what's working for them, what drives them, and the real challenges and wins that matter most right now.
Welcome everybody, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Broker Bulletin. We're leading into 2025 with a pretty important strategy building session. We want to cover off some details around how to build an effective business strategy for the year ahead. My name is Robert Farris. I'm a BSM over at Loan Market. I'm joined by Alberto Gorgioski, who's Associate Director at Loan Market. He's coming in with over a decade of experience, sales and process coach. Welcome, Al.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me.
The key topic that we want to cover off today is how to build an effective business strategy.
It's probably something that's overlooked in the mortgage broking space. Like when a lot of brokers start out, it's either a banker to broker type of scenario, or they know someone that's been a broker, or they've actually worked in a broker office. They go into the business, you're getting customers. You kind of never stop to actually think, where's my business heading? Businesses get to a level, whether you're a sole operator or multiple staff in your store, the problem that you find is you're in the business, not looking over the business, and a proper business plan, making sure that you have one executable each financial year. It just allows you to kind of step out of the business for a little bit and understand, all right, is the business tracking to where I want it to track? But then also looking 1, 2, or even 3 years into the future and going, is my business on track to end up where I want it to be? And a lot of the time, you might find that those type of deep thought, deep thinking sessions, they can be a little bit alarming, because, sometimes I think the business is going really well. It's, we're getting settlements through, but, expenses, staff, costing. So not only from a rev perspective, it's also good to understand it from a staffing perspective as well. Like, are we going to grow our team? If you're a single operator, when do I bring in a support staff? If I have already 15 staff members, do I need more for that expansion, or can I keep utilizing the team that I've got? So definitely a very important topic. I think something that is pretty underutilized.
You've obviously been a business owner yourself, so have I. I guess one of the key things is you mentioned throughout that there's so many things out there that you've got to consider, right? So what would you say is a good, effective strategy to hone in on?
That's a really good point, right? Like all business owners, and especially mortgage brokers, where do you start? So when you sit down for a business planning session, do I focus on staff? Do I focus on leads? Do I focus on my sales and process? I think what I like to do is really hone down on do I have a very good process within my business? And this is relevant, again, if you're a single operator or have multiple staff. Are my processes on handling a customer there? And that's all the way from inquiry through to settlement and even your nurture journeys. Once you have that ticked off and you're confident on that, my next focus will be, is my business generating enough leads, enough customers? Am I hitting my rev targets? And if I'm not, that kind of trickles down in what's my next move in regards to marketing? Am I doing local area marketing? How do I engage with the marketing firm? What is my strategy there? And you see how what I'm doing here, Rob, is I'm going down point by point, and I actually start building out my business plan, because one thought will lead to another thought, right? Like you think about leads and business generation, then you think about your marketing strategy. Then from there, you think, hold on, I actually have a lot of leads. Do I have enough brokers? So you see how a business plan isn't something that's so strict, and you sit down and it has to be 10 points and every business goes through the same thing. We're all different. Business owners and mortgage broking businesses, they're very bespoke. So what's the right business plan? I don't think there is one, but I think one where you have clear goals. I think it needs to be measurable. What I see a lot of, Rob, and you would have seen this in your past, it's very easy to put a plan together, very hard to execute to the plan, and very, very hard to hold yourself accountable to it. So create little goals. The biggest tip that I'll give any listener is create goals that are tangible, whether it's a 3-month, 90-day goal. You're looking at it from a 3-month perspective, and then you're kind of checking in on yourself 4 times throughout the year. How's my business plan going, and what lever do I need to pull or increase to reach my goal? And more importantly, get your team involved if you have a team. Like, let everyone else along on that journey as well. Accountability gets built around their office, all of a sudden everybody's aligned to that goal as well. So, they're the three biggest call outs for me. Make sure you do one, but when doing one, hold yourself accountable and create very, very simple targets.
I think that's a good point. Like having a team as well. If you do have a team, even if you don't have a team, it's good to definitely set those goals. A lot of people set a business plan, set and forget. But to your point before, you should be checking in every 6 months to a year and amend and rotate and pivot with the market and so on. So get the team involved. I think that's a good strategy, definitely. So how do you measure, like we touched on, it's good to set business goals and strategies and so on. How would you measure those? Like, how often should you touch base and kind of reassess?
I think with the business plan, again, so if I was to give the cheat sheet here, I'm sitting down, whether, if you do have co-owners or if you're a single operator, sitting down, and the first part of it is kind of like a draft business plan. Put down everything. There's no right or wrong thing on that. And then you can refine afterwards. Don't try to get too cute at the start with it. Put down everything from lead generation to marketing to cost of office, all of it, right? There is no harm in locating everything that you think is good for a business plan. Then, once you have everything down, start refining everything and making sure that everything aligns to a goal. Because if it doesn't, what you'll find is the accountability piece drops off. So let's use example of staffing. If I'm doing a business plan and I want to grow my business by one staff member, what does that mean? So how much more settlements do I need to do throughout the year to pay for that staff member? How much is that staff member going to cost? Am I going to go offshore? Is it internal? And once I got that, let's say the answer is I need to get 3 more settlements each month to pay for that staff member. Well, then that's my goal. My goal is now simplified, not to the staff member, it's to the 3 settlements a month. Now, do I have lead flow for that? No, I don't. Okay, so how much more leads do I need then a month? Well, I need 10 more leads. Okay, so do I have a plan for that? No, I don't. The business plan goal and the metric is I need 10 leads each month, and that's my goal. So now I've got a 10 lead goal for leads, a 3 lead goal for settlements, then I can get that staff member. See how I've just broken down how to get a staff member in a very tangible way. So then as I'm going through the months right now, it's Jan, Feb, March, I'm looking back, I've done my 90 days. You know what? I'm on track here. I've got my 6 settlements. I've done what I set out to do. Maybe I can start that person in April now. Or the alternate is, I've only done 2 settlements. Maybe I can't afford it. Now, what do I need to do to get that on board? Then you see how you can break down every goal into a metric. And this is really, really, really relevant to single operators. When you're sitting in that office by yourself, you don't have anybody else asking you or telling you, how's that business goal going or how's that plan going? It can be difficult to kind of track that. This is a perfect way to do that.
What about leaders, right? So yes, sole operators, definitely agree with you there. What about like bigger teams? How would you effectively kind of communicate this business strategy? You touched on it before, getting them involved. Any other strategies that they should relay on to their teams to help?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think the most important thing is to think about, as a business owner, your office dynamic. Now, if there should be a high-level business plan that's set out by the owners or any key executives in the business. But then I think involving your team in that strategy day, like strategy days are huge. A lot of businesses are underutilized these days. And it's really just, it's a fancy word of getting your team, in a confined space, laptop on, and just taking notes. Jot it all down. And that doesn't mean we're implementing everything because, as every business owner will know, if you implemented everything, your staff member wanted, you have 30 changes a week, right? But it's really giving people a say. And when they feel like they've contributed to that, they easily adopt the business plan because it's not foreign to them. So if you think about it, option 1 is you do a business plan high level with your partner, you go out there and you just send it out to the floor. Feels like a bit of a dictatorship, right? We're just, here it is, guys, everyone go execute.
I don't know, Rob, but I wouldn't be motivated if I was in that position. And I've been in businesses before that they've done this really well. They'll do a retrospective of the year and, the staff get a say. This worked really well. However, we need to be focusing here.
And then option 2 is you release the business plan and, that person in the corner that suggested that we focus on, social media marketing, for example. oh, wait, I actually had something to do with that. Like, again, you're building a connection with your team. So always involve them.
Yeah, look, they're the heartbeat of the business, right?
100%.
So we do that with like process improvement stuff where we want the buy-in of the people doing the job itself. So yeah, same theory should apply.
Spot on.
Right. Okay. So how would you utilize, like, what sort of data and analytics should you kind of utilize to make judgment calls into your business strategy?
I think I think there's, gut feel is important, of course, because once, as I said, each broker business is bespoke. But the data is very important in identifying those key milestones, especially in the broker business. And I think we're kind of fortunate in our business, in our world, because, you can identify how many leads are you getting, what type of conversion are you getting on those leads through to a lodgement status. And then from lodgement, to your uncon, to your settlement, you got those key milestones. They're the most obvious. That's the data that I'm looking at there. But then from a business owner perspective, how's the attrition in your office? Like, are you losing a lot of stuff? If you are, why? So again, do you have exit polls with your stuff? Again, another point of data as well that you can be looking at. But then also one that's slightly forgotten about is actually the data on market trends as well. Like, are you pivoting with the current purchase AIP market, or is your business still really pushing that refinance curve? And we know now today that's switched, right? There's a lot more Australians looking to purchase their first home or looking to purchase another home. So it's really, I always say this about data. It's awesome to have data. It's what we're doing with that. That's more important.
To that point, how do you evaluate when's the right time to make that switch or pivot? Like, would it be, a team reevaluation of the business strategy if you're not hitting the numbers that you set out?
Spot on.
What point?
Yeah, it's in the review, Rob, right? Like I always say this, when businesses are flying and we're all settling 100 million a month, I don't think we're concerned about the business plan. But you're right. You sit down, and I'll give you that example. I've been in this position. You set a business plan. You're sitting there 90 days in, and you're going, what's gone wrong? I feel as if I've executed, but the numbers aren't there. So I think that's when that deeper evaluation goes in. Like, hold on, why is this the case? Don't ever, and a lot of the time, it's a human instinct. We like to shift not the blame, but it's the market, right? Well, is it? Let's validate that. I think that's what the data is important. Like, hold on a second. I've done my last 10 applications as AIPs. I didn't really do that in the past. Is that the slowdown? How's my AIP process? Do I call my customers every week to make sure they found the property? And you'll find in that review process a few key things in the market that you probably haven't pivoted with.
Yeah, all good points. How about some takeouts? Like, give us some key takeouts, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, guys.
Walking away from this.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, I think the most important thing is, whether you believe it or not, stop and have a strategy day. I think the most important thing that you need to be doing with your teams is point 1 is actually commence having a strategy day. It can't be done right. It can't be done wrong. If you need support, there's business coaches in the industry that can guide you to that. Key takeaway number 1, have a strategy day with your team and start jotting down some ideas for a business plan. I think number 2 is, once you've got that business plan implemented, think about how you're going to be executing to that business plan. Do you have parameters in place to make sure you're reviewing that? And now I use the 90-day strategy, but that's not right or wrong. If you want to look at it every 2 weeks, you can. Again, that is customizable, but how are you going to be looking back at that business plan to measure it? I think key point number 3 is involve your team. Involve teams if you got them. It's really important because, again, that core value of your business is really the business plan. If your business values its customers, values providing an exceptional service, you need your team to really believe in that first. And if you do and you got the right team, I think then the biggest thing is then they're going to adopt that business plan. But I think, guys, if I had one underlying message, just don't hold back in doing one. Don't think you're too small and don't think you're too big and don't create an excuse for it. A business plan is relevant for everybody, whether it's your first day in the industry or you're an experienced broker, settling 200 mil a year and humming along well. There is no reason why you shouldn't be sitting down at least once a year, looking at your business and how it operates.
Awesome takeouts there. One as well you mentioned is accountability. So going back to like your core values, what sort of role does a core value in the business hold? when building these strategies out?
That's a very good question. And look, big business do this really well. All their staff are aligned with the business's goal. Like when you think of Apple and Google, everyone wanted to work at Google at one stage, right? And businesses kind of clicked on, hold on, everyone can get a salary somewhere, but why are they here for? And I think businesses understood that people actually align to values. Yeah. So if you don't have core values in your business, I think step one is figuring out what does your business stand for and what is the messaging that you want to put out, not only to your team, but to everybody else, your consumer as well. The way the value actually ties in with your business plan is you don't want to have them opposite to each other. If customer centricity is one of your core values, my business plan is not to grow very quickly and have 500 customers coming through the door day one when I only have one broker to service that. That's not really customer centric, is it? So it's really about ensuring what we're saying is our values is then repeated in our business plan. So customer centricity is everything in our business plan focused around customer centricity. And if it isn't, and it's not aligned, then we probably have to think about how we amend that.
So look, obviously critical time of the year. It's a bit quieter, just back from leave, maybe you need another holiday after the holiday.
Yeah.
It's easy to get stuck into, I guess I'll get to it next week or let's start next week. Any pointers on how to really hit the ground running in this first, month or so?
Mate, I do. And that's just blocking out time in your calendar. Like you just have to be lethal to this. I really call it like going to a doctor's appointment. We don't make excuses for it. We block out a calendar. This is a doctor's appointment for your business. It needs it. And even if you don't think it does, we'll then validate that. Block out some time in your calendar. Block out a full day with yourself, your team, your partners, and then ensure that you have that business plan ready.
Yeah, spot on. I think that's all critical information. Really take that on board, guys. Hit the ground running this year. Really focus and push forward and set some new heights for yourself and your business. Al, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rob.
And thanks, guys, and see you on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to Broker Bulletin. We would hate for you to miss an episode. Subscribe to Broker Bulletin in your favourite podcast app. Has this episode been helpful? We'd love you to rate and review us. It'll help us deliver content that's useful to you and help others discover us. If you have great ideas for topics worth tackling or have burning questions you'd like addressed on an upcoming episode, reach out. Links in the show notes. See you next time.